All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Free the Truth News. This is your place for uncensored news all around the world. Goodness gracious, we got an exciting show for you. I'm waiting for my guest to pop up, but first, I want to talk about Ohio, you guys. Ohio has lost its mind. DeWine of Ohio has lost his mind. They've actually made not wearing a mask, not following quarantine protocols, a criminal offense in Ohio. Not only that, but I'm going to pull up a headline here that says so COVID positive test results entered into statewide police database. And when they first started this, they claimed that this was it's so that if police have to pull you over, they know that you are possibly infected and they can like put on a hazmat suit or something, but they're not doing that. And that's not what it's being used for. It is now being used as an excuse to arrest people. There was a woman who was arrested recently in Ohio. Not this one. There was a woman recently who was arrested in Ohio for not wearing a mask at her son's baseball game. And she was tased and arrested, treated very, very harshly by the cops. Just craziness. If you don't know who Pamela Popper is and you're in Ohio, look her up. She's amazing. She is currently fighting for your rights right now in the state of Ohio against a lot of these really tyrannical new protocols and things that they're following. We talked last week. I interviewed Melanie. We can pull that up now. She lost custody, lost all visitation rights of her son because of this Facebook post, because she was not wearing a mask, and because of this sidearm, which, by the way, is illegally owned and carried sidearm. She has a license to open carry in the state of Florida. So she literally wasn't doing anything illegal in the picture, and yet they used that post as an excuse to take her parental rights away. If you want to follow her story a little closely, more closely, and find out what's going on with that, go to Liberating Logan. There is a page and a Facebook group. Take a look at that. It's on the Free the Truth News page. But I want to talk today. I have David Jose, and there you are. How are you doing, David?
Great. How are you?
I have David here today because I want to talk about CPS corruption, the corruption of family court. I promised people that I would come on here and inform them a little bit more on that because it's a huge issue. A lot of people don't realize how big of an issue it is until they go through it themselves. And you're an amazing, phenomenal warrior for truth and freedom when it comes to this particular subject. You've been, putting people on notice, politicians, corrupt politicians and judges on notice, handing out affidavits, helping people write affidavits. And so this is going to be like an educational thing here because there's a lot of people, they don't understand their rights. Most people, when they hear the words affidavit or putting someone on notice, they don't know what that means. They have no clue. But first, I want to talk a little bit about you. What got you into this? What kind of triggered this passion of yours to find solutions for this problem?
Well, actually, quite some years ago, a woman that went to church with us, she actually had a situation where her kids were taken, and I actually stood up as the advocate for her. And I wasn't in a position where I was learning the law yet or anything like that. I was just kind of like a support person, that some things were being done wrong against her. The worker wasn't helping her, but I did not know that this was something that happened so frequently. Well, fast forward some years, I had a stepdaughter through marriage who made 4 CPS accusations over different people in her lifetime. And that was her tool to use when she wanted to do what she wanted to do, and people in letter. So as we fast forward, I ended up having several children, was doing really well in business, had a real big following online. People would see my kids behind my head every day on live videos, laughing and joking and learning. Well, my stepdaughter was doing some things that were very inappropriate in school. Her dad caught her. We ended up letting her know because she wouldn't stop that we were going to bring her home to homeschool. 2 days later, she made accusations that I did some crazy stuff to her 2 months before. No, 2 weeks before. The last time she made a CPS report, it was 2 months before. The CPS worker told her, you can't say 2 months before because it looks like that's way too long ago. So if anything ever happens again, you can't do it that way. So then the next time she says 2 weeks. But she got caught the first time because there was like 3,000 pictures of her modeling where everybody could see her every day. So they realized everything she said was a lie. The second time was after 2014, which in 2014, the governor met with the Pope, and after that they just went nuts. They started taking so many kids, it was unbelievable. So I end up in a situation where I'm fighting against CPS, and I see them just telling bold-faced blatant lies. They hid evidence, which I put it all in the Supreme Court of Arizona. They had 5 different stories that she told, because she told her first lie, as she always does, and then somebody came the next day and asked her again, and that other person asked her, and the story she couldn't remember. So you hear like and she's making up stuff that was totally different than what she made up the first time. And so then another guy comes 2 weeks later with a wire on. She tells him 3 more stories that don't match either one. So he's trying to remind her of the story. So by the time that it went to the CPS, I don't want to say court because they're just administrative hearings, uh, the person who acts as a judge asked, "Hey, did you guys give these parents the evidence of what you guys have?" And they're like, "No." And she's like, "Well, did you guys serve them?" "No." Okay, so you didn't serve them. Okay, so we're going to need you to serve them with everything and give them the evidence and come back the next week. So we come back the next week. She's like, "Hey, so did you guys give them the evidence?" They said, "No." And I'm looking like, what the freak kind of clown show is this,
Yeah.
And so she 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 asked them why. You know what they said?
What?
They said we couldn't find fluidity.
In your
And
story?
people in my church, we're sitting there looking like this. Now, keep in mind, we don't have any idea what the accusation. So
Right.
we don't know. So they got 5 different. So what do?
Wow.
They hide 4 and use 1. They
Yeah.
hide 4 stories and use 1. Yep. So they hide 4 of the stories, use 1. In the meantime, I started researching, and I found that in Arizona they like to make up lies and make up stories. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record if they ever come to me so that I can know what's up. And then for some strange reason, I was kind of praying and asking God what in the world was going on. And I was led to let my little guys get seen by a doctor from church so that we could have documentation on video of the kids being seen so nobody could say anything was wrong with them. And so I got the documentation. The next day, the guy popped up. I had the documentation on CD, I had videotape, and then I had an affidavit from the doctor. So when these people came back after 30 days, because they came to visit us, they came back after 30 days. So there was no exigent circumstance, nothing was wrong. They come back 30 days later. They say, "Oh, well, we got a warrant to pick up the kids." And it's like, why and from what? You know? And so
Right.
this when it first came, but they sent a document they called a warrant, just an executive judicial document. And even all the way filled in. It wasn't even. And so what ended up happening is that uh, I gave the evidence from the doctor. So when they went to go get this order, so called, to have us come to court and take the kids, guess what they didn't turn in?
What?
any of the evidence.
Oh my God.
And videotape the guy taking and took a picture of him with it in his hand.
Ay,
Say that
ay,
again.
ay. I didn't say anything. You were breaking up a little bit though. Am I breaking up on your end?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I don't think. Am I on mute? I gotta ask my producer.
We're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, you were breaking up a bit.
Did I break up?
Yeah, I think it's your connection. It's a little low.
So far I'm at full bars.
Okay. Huh. Well, I can hear you. So if you can hear me, so that's
I'm
crazy.
at full bars. It doesn't look like it's frozen.
All right. So
okay, I can hear you now. You're clear.
Oh, good. Good. So what? This is a circus. The family court system. It's a complete circus. It sounds like. We're having trouble with the connection. Eric, is there a way that we can reconnect and see if that helps? I don't know if that's possible.
Okay. The signal is rough. I think you said something about the family court.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a complete circus in family court. David, do you want to see if you can drop out and then jump back in and see if that helps? Hang on. I think my producer's trying to fix it.
Okay, perfect. I can do that. Let me see if I can drop off and come back in.
I think it's just really laggy. I think there's just like a huge amount of lag. So we'll see if he can jump back in here. Sorry about that, guys. It was just getting good. See if we can get him back in here. So I think what he was saying was, they were attempting to find grounds in order to take his parental rights. And he kept trying to submit the evidence that he was innocent, and it wasn't getting to where it needed to go. They kept saying they didn't have the evidence, even though he kept submitting it, which that you wouldn't believe how often that happens. There are a lot of judges and attorneys that will approach you, especially in family court, and act like they're going to represent you. They're on your side. And then they pull all kinds of crazy crap behind your back. So, which is what it sounds like was happening in his situation. All right, you're back. Can you hear me this time?
Yes, ma'am. Way more clear now.
Awesome. So you were telling us about how you kept submitting evidence, and they kept saying that they never received it.
The evidence. So the guy and his partner, the CPS workers, hid evidence and just did not give it to the CPS judge on purpose.
Wow.
So everything I gave to them, they just hid it. Yes.
Okay, so it was CPS that was hiding.
After that first day, I walked outside, my wife and I, and we saw a Hispanic woman and a Caucasian woman both crying and just broken, saying, "I don't get to see my kids," and stuff like that. I'm so sad, right?
Wow.
It hurt me so bad when I saw that, because I'm tough enough to take a lot of stuff. When I seen that, I said, you know what? I'm not negotiating with these people. I'm not begging for my kids. I'm going to find out everything they're doing and how they're breaking the law, and I'm tearing this thing down. And that's what got me started.
Well, that is, sometimes God uses some really, really hard situations in order to motivate us and push us forward. So, and you're doing some amazing things. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is anytime I bring up stories like this, where kids are unjustly ripped from their homes. People are unjustly stripped of their parental rights. They're not following proper protocol or proper constitutional law. People are like, oh, this is just an isolated incident. It doesn't happen all that often. Can we talk a little bit about the fact that it's not isolated? Like, this happens constantly. I mean, how many people, since you got going, how many people have you had contacting you for help? I think we have a lag again. Oh my goodness. Technical difficulties.
You said, I hear you say, it's saying, can we talk about it's breaking up a little bit again, but you said, can we hear about how it happens constantly?
Yes. Yeah. So since you got going with this, how many people have you had contacting you for help?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you, I've been approached by thousands of people. Arizona, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have reached out to me. And so since I didn't negotiate with them, I every single day researching the law and studying the Bible every single day for 2 years. And as I studied the Bible, I would pray to God and say, God, show me what this is. Because I realize if I don't know what it is, I can't fight it. So everything from my history, from playing football and all that, and doing scholarly journal articles, I realized that if I look for scholarly journal articles, I'll find out where they're breaking the law. And I realized that if I can see what my enemy was doing and I could understand the law, I could find the areas where they're doing wrong. And so I started studying, and I found the Administrative Procedures Act through a gentleman named Michi Slay. He showed me how the executive branches can't run, so they can only have executive branch administrative hearings. So every single parent that got their kids taken, if they weren't brought before a judicial tribunal for a criminal case, their kids were just stolen through an administrative hearing as if they worked for the government. And when I can look at all the laws, you're going to find out the laws, like, for instance, CAPTA. CAPTA tells you it's for federal retired employees. When you go look at the Social Security Act and you go back and really study it, you're going to find the 1935 Social Security Act, which created CPS, in the general provisions, 1101(6)(d, actually tells you that nothing in this act shall be construed as authorizing any federal agent, officer, or representative to take charge over any child against the objection of either one of the parents. So the law that created CPS actually says nobody can go take your kids if you don't want them to.
Wow. And is that just in Arizona?
And the attorneys have hid it from us. You know, the one called ASFA, Adoption and Safe Families Act. The attorneys of today keep telling us that ASFA gave them permission to take kids. It never says they could take kids in there, or the first one. What it says is that they are not to interfere with private family life or to try to direct a parent in parenting style. So I'm like, wait, how are you giving people parenting classes by kids who never had kids, right? Because these people who usually are working in these courses are young and working in CPS. And the law says they can't tell you how to raise your children. So Where did that come from? So I started seeing these things and putting them together. And then I started noticing that on the bottom of the documents they're using to take your kids, it says commissioner, not judge. In the document where it should say judicial warrant or order, it says pickup order. So these people are authorizing people to pick up your kids without law.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't even. So another question that I get a lot is like, what's the motive, right? Like, why would an organization that claims to be operating in the best interest of children and families purposely be tearing apart families without following any of the laws of the land? What is the motive here? Why is this happening?
Oh, this is easy. So I'll give it to you like this. For all government officials that are constitutional, they have authority granted in the Constitution. They are our trustees and servants. So if you look at the 1877 Georgia Constitution, it'll tell you that the government, the public officers are our trustees and servants. That means they work for us and have to do things for us, and they cannot, right? If you look at the Virginia Constitution, you'll see where it tells you that the magistrates are our trustees and servants. So anytime somebody's your trustee or servant, they're not allowed to steal your property. Now,
Right.
What happens is CPS and child support enforcement are both independent agencies that are not government. And they actually get paid when they take your kids or give you a child support order. So with CPS, imagine if you get $83,000 to $140,000 a year for every kid you take from a parent.
Wow.
Then at the same time, the one who's the entity that's $83,000 to $140,000 a year to take a kid is also the one responsible to say they gave you services for you to get your kids back, but they make money if they adopt your kid out. So how does the one who makes money if they keep your kid services to you?
That's crazy to me. So they're making money off of taking the kids, and then they're making money off of providing you services in order to get your kid back. And this is exactly why, because I've always wondered, I'm like, you hear all these stories about these kids who are in homes where they're actually being abused and neglected, right? And they never get taken away. Oh, I lost him. I'm just going to keep talking about this and hope you, oh, there you are. They never get taken away, right? But then you have these good parents who want their kids, who are doing a great job, and for some reason they'll find the smallest little reason to come in and take them. Why? Because they know that those parents are willing to fight for their kids. And if they're willing to fight for their kids, they're willing to spend a lot of money to do it. On top of that, right? So I have a person I'm going to be, hopefully I can get her for an interview. I don't know if she's willing yet, but she lost her child, her, I think, 2-year-old. And she still wants that child. She lost the child unjustly. And they're trying to adopt the child out to her foster care parents. They have no right to do that. And yet they're trying to adopt her out. So now there's 3 different ways that these people are making money off of these kids, right? They make money when they take the kid. They make money when they offer you a service to fight for your kid. And then they make money if they're able to then adopt that child out. It's a human trafficking industry. It's all about human trafficking. And it's not in the way that most people think. Because when most people think about human trafficking, they're thinking about, like sex trafficking and stuff. And that does happen a lot. But this is like, they're making money off of adopting kids out. And they're making money off of the foster care system from the government. It's oh my God, I can't even. So go ahead.
Can I give your listeners some good news?
Yes, please.
So there is no such thing of adoption in the common law. There's no such thing of adoption in the common law. The common law is the law of the land. Now, if you look in Black's Law 5, 5th edition, if you look up adoption, it's going to say that this
we're losing him again. You're gonna I can't believe this.
Historically in the common law, it is completely statutory.
This connection thing is crazy. I'm starting to get paranoid about it. I'm thinking this is like intentional.
The signal is saying that it kicked me off.
Yeah, you started talking about how, and yes, I can hear you now. You were talking about it cut you off immediately when you started talking about how there's no such thing as adoption, like immediately. So if you just want to start over.
Yeah, that's not my mistake. There is no adoption in the common law. Black's Law 5th edition will tell you that there is no adoption in the common law and that it is completely statutory. Well, I can show you in the law where it tells you that whenever one of the people come before the court, the common law has to be used. But if you're considered a person or an association or a partnership or a corporation, then they can use a different type of law against you. So they're using statutory laws that are not applicable to the people. So when you come in your status as one of the people, they have to use common law, which says that you must have a jury of your peers. So if you didn't get a jury when they took your kid, they broke the law.
Yeah, this is where I wanted to pick your brain, because I've heard you talking about this. I've heard you and Sandra RN talking about this. And one thing that I don't understand is, like, if they are bringing you under this family court circus that's not even a real court, how do you fight that? What do you do in order to demand a jury of your peers and all of your rights?
Well, here's how it happens. So we've been able to fight and get approximately 65 to 70 kids back already. And people have seen it on Facebook. We've gotten so many kids back that we've had agents and different people assigned to us to come and act like didn't get the kids back, that the people came on TV with the kids and showed that they got the kids back.
Oh my God.
And what happens is we do these affidavits, right? So in most of these cases where people are stealing kids, they gag order the parents because if anybody found out about what they were doing, the family's crazy in the nation. So the reason we weren't getting remedy is because they were stealing kids and we would just be quiet. Or we would try to fight our own cases. So what we decided to do, David Straight and I, we did a video where 50,000 families saw it, 50,000 people. And then we started putting in affidavits and the courts started realizing, oh my gosh, the people know what we're doing.
Oh,
and we would put out affidavits, and because they have private courts, they hide all your evidence or get rid of it. We put out affidavits and then we CC Donald Trump and William Barr so that it's seen outside of these courts that are breaking the law. And they start just returning kids.
Wow. So if you are brought into a family court and they're treating you like you're an employee of the state, and you understand how to pick up on that, then the protocol, the way to get out of that is to basically, if I'm understanding this right, because I've been looking up what an affidavit is, because I didn't fully understand when I hear you talk about it. You basically have to look at your state laws, your state constitution, and figure out where exactly they're breaking the laws. And then you write up what's called an affidavit. If you want to explain like what an affidavit is, I think you have a website where you can get an example of one, right? I think you're breaking up again.
I'll give you. Yeah. So here's the easy way to understand it. Attorneys don't want us using affidavits against CPS. Why? Think about this. If you have a fight with somebody on the street and somebody witnesses it, right? The police are going to come up and say, what? You can complain and say, he punched me in my eye, he kicked me, he spit on me. The cop is going to say, would you write a sworn declaration report telling what they did? If you say no, they'll walk away from you. If you say yes, and you got evidence that you got hurt, they will go grab that person right there and arrest them. If you look in the 4th Amendment of the Constitution, it lets you know that no warrant can be issued unless by probable cause, something probably happened, and somebody will swear under oath or affirmation that they were harmed. Then they can arrest somebody. The attorneys in the movement and the judges don't want you to write affidavits because it is the very document that is necessary to arrest people. These people sit in courts every single day and will tell you they know CPS is lying. The judges will sit there every single day and tell you they know CPS is lying. The cops will come and say they know CPS is lying. So why the freak do they not want you to write an affidavit? Because they all make money off the system. The moment parents start writing affidavits showing what the real laws say, everybody can go to jail.
Yeah. Including the judge, including
it's just common sense.
Yeah.
So the attorneys, think about it. We got groups where there's 13,000 people who lost their kids.
I still hear you.
They stopped you from talking. And I don't know if you can hear me, but Title 42, 674, payment to states, read down the line where it says 70% them, and you're going to see that the CASA members, you can hear me? Okay, so the judges, the CASA members, the attorneys, the parents, and the CS, and others, including the whole staff of the Neglect and Abuse Court, is getting paid by the federal secretary in Title 42, 674 payment to states. Tell everybody to go look. Everybody's paid this money in the executive branch. It's not even a court.
So that's
just a business enterprise.
That's including the judges, the lawyers, the cops. We have a bit of a lag, I think.
Can you hear me? It looks like they froze you up a little bit.
Oh, I think we have a bit of a lag between us. But I asked, so that includes the people being paid, includes the judge, the lawyers, the cops, all of them? I don't think he can hear me. Darn it. Hang on one sec. Let me see.
The cops get what's called, they get a fee, I believe it's like $845 each. The cops get $845 for going and doing what they call it. The police have a CPS. The hospitals have a contract with CPS.
Wow. Wow. So what about judges?
It's a big scam where back in the day, if CPS broke the law, people knew, hey, we could write a report on them. But now what happens is the CPS officer and the attorneys got smart.
I think there's a huge...
They broke you up.
Yeah, I think there's just like a huge lag in between our connection here. So, so what about judges? Were judges somehow also getting paid? Because they're the ones that are making the ruling, the judges, right? And you would think that they'd be able to
I hear you say something about the judge.
Yeah. So in a lot of cases, the judges seem like they're also corrupt. Are they somehow... Oh, he popped out. Oh, goodness. Just as I was starting to get answers. I don't know if we can pull him back up, if there's a way to do that. Well, maybe we can get him back on the show at some point. If he pops back up, then we'll pull him back up. But I do know that there are a lot of really corrupt judges out there. Just from the one interview I did with Melanie. Oh, yeah, you're back. So the question was, are the judges also somehow being paid?
Yes. The whole Neglect and Abuse Court, which is no type of court in America, we have a civil court and we have a criminal court in each state. These people are using what they call a Neglect and Abuse Court. And if you look at Title 42, 674, payment to states, the whole staff of the Neglect and Abuse Court is paid by the secretary and the executive branch, which is a separation of powers violation of the Constitution. You can't even do that.
Yeah. So, all right. Because I want my audience here to know how to fight back against this, right? So if you got CPS at your doorstep, what advice would you give Like, how do you handle that?
Never talk to them. The first mistake I made the second time is I talked to them. The first time they're like, we got to come to your house. I'm like, nah, that won't happen. You won't, you know? The second time I talked to the guy and I shouldn't have. And if you want to fix this, don't even wait until CPS comes to your door. What we all need to do is put out affidavits, putting our government workers on notice that we know what CPS is doing. Show the laws to show that they're breaking the law. Show the statutes to show that they're breaking that, and put them on notice and let the government officials know, if you allow your silly little running around workers to harm us, you're going to pay us personally this much. See, they're all making me, and then they act like they don't know how to control their little animals. We need to let them know ahead of time, we're not playing this game anymore as a people. We're standing up. And look, we gave 2,000 affidavits to President Trump's administration. After we did that, President Trump's administration came out and told that they knew CPS and their partners were trafficking. The affidavit was called CPS and Partners Trafficking. We told how CPS isn't giving parents a voice. We told how CPS is unlawfully taking kids. Guess what was inside of Trump's executive order?
What?
The one strengthening CPS. Trump said they're not hearing the mothers and fathers. Trump said we need high-level attorneys to deal with CPS pre-petition. He said, you can take a kid from somebody's house, you need to have a high-level attorney fighting them so they don't even get the doors open to take a kid. Because Trump knows now they're stealing them because we 2,000 affidavits.
Yeah, this
we're
whole
ready to do a program now. We're getting ready to do 3,000 to 10,000.
Awesome. So if somebody wants to learn how to write an affidavit or submit an affidavit, is there a website where they can go to learn more about that?
Well, now we are actually doing one for the first vaccinations and for forced mask wearing and stuff like that. A lot of kids are falling out all around the country. We have a private membership association where mothers and others can come and they can bring in their whole family, join a whole group of people across the country that's learning about this stuff and put out affidavits together. I also have the affidavit that I did that Josh Barnett for Congress, the gentleman who's running for Congress, him and a gentleman named Adele are actually getting ready to do a campaign to get parents to stand up, and they're looking for between 3,000 to 10,000 affidavits, which is more than anybody has ever done before in the history of our nation, to get parents to step up and do it. So if you friend Josh Barnett on Facebook, he'll have access to it. Facebook took my Facebook when I said I was going to do it. So when I explained to people how to do it, they took my Facebook from me. I do have another one. We do have an app that one of my friends actually bought the whole app. So it's kind of like Facebook, called Lawful Living. I can
awesome.
get you the information for that.
Yes, please.
But what we're doing is stopping parents from being sad and broken and complaining and getting them into the point where they will take action and stand up and take action that shows a repetitive behavior of CPS to steal kids, break the law, and lie. So when President Trump sees all these parents, after we did the first affidavit, President Trump said, his administration said, we recognize their trafficking, and put an article out in Epic Times telling. Then they got with a report telling that 88% of the kids found in trafficking comes from CPS. Now he wrote an executive order in the middle of a pandemic talking about what CPS is doing wrong. So you got to stop and say, hold on now, when has this ever happened? When has a president ever stood up against CPS? Never happened, right? So if everybody comes together and do this time, it will shock the nation. Because President Trump, he said that he wanted whistleblowers to tell what was happening. I have another gentleman who actually works with the team that gives evidence of sex trafficking of kids to Donald Trump and his teams. So all these people who have been getting arrested for trafficking, my guy told me when arrests were coming before they were coming. He's like, hey, in 2 weeks, 1,700 people gonna get arrested. I'm like, what? Really? And 1,700 people were on the news getting arrested. And so
we have seen
my whole following.
I was gonna say we have seen. I've seen a ton of different headlines of them busting a bunch of child traffickers. Like all over the country. 36 children were found over here. 47 children were found over there. So they're definitely moving, and they're moving fast on this, and that's just amazing to watch.
You know why Trump is really in trouble? They're not mad at Trump about what he does with spending. They're mad at Trump about anything other than affecting their business. When he went after traffickers, he made the mistake that most of the politicians won't touch. You remember Linda Collins-Smith was dealing with CPS cases before she got killed. The senator, one state over from her, had the same evidence she had, and he got killed. Nancy Schaefer came out talking about CPS stealing kids. She got killed. I'm telling you, these people in government are using private organizations to traffic kids and money off PS. Even when you look at Pelosi, she rents the property out to CPS in her state. Her son got his baby's mama, her kids taken by CPS and told he was going to do it ahead of time. And got it done. Wow. Didn't have any problem. And he goes to CPS to steal kids. This is why there's such a battle in America now. They're attacking Trump. He vowed to get rid of the traffickers. He told on Epstein about how he likes these really young girls back in the day. But let's just look at stuff. Let's jog our memory. When the news reporter that came out talking about how she had the scoop on Epstein, and that her own her own news station told her she can't afford it, and then she retracted her statements, she told the truth the first time. Cindy McCain, who runs a network, a group that's supposed to be the McCain Institute that's against child trafficking, she came out and openly said she knew what he was doing. They all knew. So you telling me y'all all knew about the biggest trafficker in the world and you didn't tell on? They're hiding this stuff. The news media, when it first came out about Epstein trafficking, the news media wanted to call it a conspiracy theory. We better wake up as Americans and realize that those things which were holy, those things which were pure and praiseworthy and of good report that God would love, is being attacked. Ruth Bader Ginsburg wanted to make the age of sex with children, which you can't have sex with a child. It's called rape. 12 years old.
Yeah, I saw that. And you have all these Facebook fact checkers trying to say that that's not true. And you have all these people saying, oh, it's taken out of context. But if you actually open up that document where she said it, I mean, that's exactly what she was saying. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. People got to actually.
Facebook has been going after everybody who's fighting trafficking. Everybody who's fighting trafficking, they try to kill our accounts. Every single one.
I wouldn't be surprised if this video is the one that gets my channel censored.
You said what now?
I said I wouldn't be surprised if this video isn't the one that gets my page shut down.
Well, you remember I said to you we might need to check our devices before we're on?
Yep.
To see if they still work?
And I believed you.
I knew this was coming. Like, every time I go on somebody's channel and I start talking this stuff or know beforehand, bandwidth is jacked up. They won't let you speak. It echoes out. The screen leaves. They'll just remove the video. I mean, they know we're a danger.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you say certain keywords and all of a sudden, like, it's shut down.
Yeah.
But
So you think about that, like the first time I say the A word, right? Down the video, it starts echoing, everything starts messing up. When you try to find out what parents can do, it's like, right? Because
so what
they
I'm gonna
are
do,
afraid, because their whole system was put in place a little bit at a time and eroding our rights over the years so we wouldn't notice. So now we're coming out blasting information, telling everybody at the same time. That's what
right?
destroys their system.
Yep. Yeah. But you know what? We're so close. We're so close to crashing this thing. And it's amazing to watch. So what I'm going to do, because there's a lot that people need to educate themselves on before they can jump in this fight with us. And Facebook probably doesn't like the link for your app, I'm thinking. So if you guys that are watching want more information, you want to know how to get connected with people who understand the law and know how to fight this, I want you to email me at freethetruthnews@gmail.com. freethetruthnews@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested in learning more. I will send you all the links that you need. I'm going to collaborate with you here, David Jose, if you want to send me all your links and stuff, and we will get people plugged into this because we need to fight this. And God, I can't. There are so many people who try and discourage me from speaking out about this because they're like, "Oh, you have kids. What if they come after you?" The thing is if you don't fight, they might come after you. Do you know what I mean? There are so many people out there. They were minding their own business, and CPS came and took their kids. Right? So I feel like I have to fight. Like, how can you not? It's so corrupt. It's so evil. And if you're just going to sit back and watch, then you only have yourself to blame when they start coming for your kids.
Yep. Yep.
So
the opposite of what.
Oh, you froze again.
Our forefathers said, "You want to be free, give information and disseminate it. Don't try to hide it," because that's what they want. They want to hide it so that they can rape our kids and do all types of crazy things. We don't have time for that. We have to get it out there. We have to tell the truth. And, God forbid one of us has to die for telling the truth. But, if it happens, I look at it like God has given me so much in my life. The Bible says, "Whom much is given, much required." God has let me do so many things by age 40 that I can't complain about anything that God wants me to do. And if you want to be victorious and you want to stand and you want to be part of things that are glorious, you're going to follow God because God gets the victory. He never fails. So the book tells you want to save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose your life for God's sake, you're going to find it. You're going to gain it. So I realized that God gave me kids when I never thought I would have kids. There was a time where I was sitting lonely by myself, bored and sad, talking about, I wish I had a wife. I wish I could have kids. That might be cool one day, right? And then God gave me kids. And then people say, "Well, Dave, you got your kids taken. How could you tell anybody anything about anything?" I'm like, well, in the Bible, when God wanted to work and do stuff to help other people, God will use you for his purposes. And it's not a bad thing. It's how God works. Now, if you God, you'll know, like in Isaiah 49, God had people use fake laws to steal kids, and God raised somebody up to fight to get the kids back. And all the kids came back home.
Yeah.
You'll see where David had in the Bible, he had his wife and kids taken, and other men who was fighting with him had their wives and kids taken, and David went and fought and got them back. So at one point,
you're breaking up again, unfortunately.
mad at David, though they wanted to kill him, his own people. So people are so messed up, they want to kill you over you fight. Yeah. But you got to stand and do what God gives you to do and have faith. Faith is what moves mountains. Faith is what shakes the nation. So I told people a couple of years ago that we're going to be getting kids back and we were going to see people go to jail, judges, attorneys. They said that would be seen it happen. So In the same way, I'm telling y'all, if we fight and do what we're supposed to do and get the word out there, we will see hundreds of thousands of kids come back. Hundreds of thousands people will stand. And I
Amen.
believe that with all my heart.
I'm claiming that in the name of Jesus. And I've been talking about this with people because this applies to everything, right? This faith issue, especially for me, because my faith is a huge part. It's the biggest priority for me. It goes into everything. The mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, fighting against all and any corruption out there, because God doesn't want us just sitting back and watching the world go to crap. We're supposed to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. We're supposed to be a voice of truth and justice and fairness in the world. And when they outlawed praying, in Daniel's time, he didn't say, "Oh, well, I'll just pray over here in the corner where no one can see me." He made sure he went into the window where people could see him and he prayed, right? He wasn't hiding. He wasn't saying, "Oh, I'll just quietly worship God where no one can see me." Okay. So there wasn't this whole like, "Oh, I don't know." When it comes to people like, "Oh, let's find a way to get around these mandates. Let's just use a religious exemption, or let's just use a medical exemption, or let's just find a way to spoof this microchip in case they're going to microchip us so we can pretend like we have it." Like, no, the whole agenda is evil. Why would you want to have the appearance of complying with evil? We have to fight this head on. We have to kneel in the window where people can see us and pray. Our faith needs to be on full display, and that doesn't just have to do with going into the house of worship and fighting for our right to worship in our churches and gather. It has to do with all of it. All of it. This is an evil agenda, and we have to make a stand.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't stand in the midst of tyranny and bad laws that go against what God told us to do in our faith, it's a sad thing about how Jesus said, "When I come back, will there be faith in the earth?" That's a sad thing that Jesus himself has to say. How many people gonna still love me and be down for me when I come back? And the thing is, there's never anybody who suffered with God in the Bible that didn't get way more for going with him through the suffering. And so you can be sad about how things are, but if you really want to stand the way God wants you to stand, you got to get up and fight. And God never expected for us to lay down when it comes to things that people tell us to do that goes against what he tells us. We live in America, right? And in America, our forefathers realized what it was like to have a king, which is a leader. And they said, we're not going to have one of those kings because those guys get stupid and start trying to just take all your stuff and act crazy. So we're going to have servants in government. And people have forgotten that the government workers are our servants.
Right.
We don't have rulers in our nation. The people are the rulers. So when the Bible says follow the law of the land, that's the law of the people, the common law. That ain't got nothing to do with some statute or code that says you got to close the library by 5:00.
Right. And another thing that I'd like
to be fair to everybody, not hurting people. And so, say it again.
Another thing I wanted to remind people of too is because even if they were to completely abolish the Constitution and it's no longer the law of the land, when the apostles were living, when the apostles were living under an emperor in Rome, right? They didn't follow all the laws of the land if it went against their faith. They didn't. If it goes against your faith, you're supposed to follow God first. Okay, we're not supposed to bow to government. But it is true. At this point right now, you're not breaking any laws by fighting against this corrupt system. You're not, because currently the law of the land is in our favor. That's just the truth. It's just that they're trying to blind us to that fact so that we don't fight back.
Well, think about it. The people granted all the authority in the Constitution. So the people are the creators of the government and all their seats and offices. Therefore, they don't have the power to remove any of it. It's
Right.
just like in the Bible when God says, God, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. God has the power to take away anything from us and we can't stop him. But with our Constitution, the people gave, and the law says the people can take away. The people can
Right.
remove the government at will. The constitutions in every state, if you read closely, is going to show that the people have the right to reform and alter government at will. Even if they affect our happiness, we can remove them. It doesn't say we need some crazy reason that some attorney tells us. If they are not meeting the ends that we put them there for, we can remove them. Period. By
Exactly.
right. So we have to re-evaluate how we created our constitutions and where the power lies. Because we've been tricked over the years and lulled to sleep so that we think these people called the government are actually our bosses when they
Yeah.
work for us.
Amen. I have to cut you short. This has been amazing, but I have to close this out because I'm running out of time here. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been amazing. Again, I am going to, you guys email me if you're interested in becoming more educated on this and getting involved and helping fight against this. Email me at freethetruthnews@gmail.com and I will get you all the links that you need in order to join this fight. But thank you again, David, for joining us today.
I appreciate you for having me. I saw your show the first time and fell in love. I'm like, this is amazing. She's a fighter, and I love it, and I appreciate you.
All right. Well, you keep fighting the good fight, and I pray that God continues to protect you just like he protected Daniel in that lion's den. You have a good one. All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.